Looks like it's 6:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the call of Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I move we approve the agenda not necessarily in that order.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion's carried. Consent agenda.
The only thing I want to, you have to pull it off. All I want to do is recommend that we do for Primar Security Services that we use the full panel inspection. That includes the temporary and temp and water for $360 a year rather than just the $250. And then I agree with everything else.
And I would like to just poll and just discuss, because we're have to approve this as a board, the financial statement of the town. And I just think we should take just a couple of minutes to look at it, because it's a very large amount of money flowing back and forth. The only question, not the only question, one question I had under taxable property assessment.
Well, let's vote on the consent agenda first, because that has to be acted on separately. So
Okay.
if he just wanted to pull it, so.
You want to pull it?
Yeah, upvote, then we can act on that separately. Okay, so you want to make a motion on the consent agenda with,
move that we approve all the consent agenda.
and that includes the full panel construction?
Yes.
Okay, do I hear a second to that?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Would you like to talk about the financial statement now?
Okay.
I just thought it would be helpful for the people, all of us, just to get a sense as to what we're doing. I know the board has to approve it, and this is our board of audit, I guess, that we're reconstituting ourselves as. I didn't go through all the numbers with a fine-tooth comb. I did have a question on the taxable property assessed valuation on the second page. And if I'm reading it right, it looks like the personal property went up like close to $3 million. I'm just wondering if we could talk about that and just fill us in as to what
I don't have any information on it.
State that.
It's from the assessment roll with all the in manufacturing, but I don't have any of that information. Looked at the meeting, nobody called and asked me, so I didn't bring anything with.
So why don't you just fill us in, just in the briefest of terms, what we have then?
You're looking at January report, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at the 2018 financial report.
Okay.
And it has a block for us to sign that says that the town of Hudson did act as the board of audit on such and such a date and found the financial records to be in order and signed by the clerk, the treasurer, and the chair. I just thought it should be talked about as opposed to being on the consent agenda.
It's just
That's
balance on hand and shows how much the advanced tax collections were, so that's not part of ours. Equalized value, assessed value, assessment ratio.
We were at 98.45%
Already.
already. We went down almost 6% in 1 year from reassessment.
And the tax levy is what the tax bills were.
So, other than the little typo for the personal property, this comes straight up from the state, is what they're saying?
I'll have to go back and look through all the reports and see, because
Well, I
there's
mean,
multiple reports that go into putting this together. There's, 6, 7, 8 different reports that use, more than that probably, to put this together, so I didn't bring all those reports with me.
Do we need to approve it tonight, or can we do it the next time?
You can do it next time if you want.
I think it might be wise, I'd more, I mean, there's a lot of numbers.
I wish you guys would ask me these questions ahead of time when,
Well, we're not in a hurry to approve it, so why don't we just, we can kind of come up with our questions.
My comfort level as a board, we've talked about this before, for having other professionals help look at it and so on. In 2017, the personal property was 4.9 million. 2018, it was 4.1 million. In 2019, it was 6.8 million. Just something I would feel more comfortable with.
That's a crapshoot though, Don. That's the businesses and whether they report what they got for personal property, and that's all that is. And at one point, they were trying to get rid of that. I thought that
they are still getting rid of some of it, so there's different.
So, whether it's accurate or not,
I'll have to go pull all the
who knows?
reports and look.
You know what I mean?
Right.
The assessor doesn't look at that. He just fills in the numbers of what they
Correct.
report. So if and the businesses go out of business and they keep sending it to them and they're out of business. So it's like, man, that's why I said it's basically a
I'll put it on the next
crapshoot on
agenda.
personal property.
Let's do that. I think,
If you have questions, you could call the office and ask, so we have time to look this stuff up ahead of time.
Okay.
so you guys hear that as a board? Got
I'm okay
questions?
with that.
Okay. All right.
Don't wait till the meeting, because then if we don't,
No.
I didn't bring the information with, because I didn't know that we needed it.
That's fair.
So I gave it to you guys. It's been in your box for quite some time.
All right. Are there any other questions on that? I want to move on to the committee reports. Fire?
Nothing new, we're still meeting
Okay.
February 13th at 8 o'clock on the Ward Avenue building. And then a tour of the new fire hall after 8 a.m.
Did you have your tour, or you're about to have your tour?
Another tour. We never did, the other meeting got canceled because Bill almost couldn't make it on the 23rd.
What's the date again, 14th or
June 3rd, February 13th at 8 a.m.
All right, library?
Let's see, they were thankful for the increase you gave them. I think everybody participated in the increase this year, so all 4 of the municipalities did that. And let's see, we just had the director's review. We went into closed session and did that at the end of the last meeting, so that's done. And then tomorrow there's a policy and personnel committee meeting where we're going to review some policies and a lot of information that was brought up from the public at some of the meetings about safety at the library, about presentations at the library, things like that. So there's a couple of policies that are going to be looked at.
I got a question. So Marion, have you guys talked lately about the 85% reimbursement from the county where, everybody else is getting 100%?
Well, I don't think we're at 85 yet. We're at, I think, 71.
Maybe I'll take a look, but
I think we're still at
less.
70, yeah. I mean, it's constant contention. I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
But nothing's going to be done about it in either way. Obviously, the county has just chosen to pick out our joint library and punish them.
Yeah.
They just singled them out. And until the board changes over, I don't see that changing at all.
I'd like to kind of talk to you about kind of an alternative proposal that would be smooth things out a little bit.
That would be great to hear. I mean,
Yeah.
We'd all love to hear a proposal.
Okay. Sounds good.
Was Roy the big pusher behind that?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely,
he's getting off, isn't he?
absolutely.
But it's his fault to begin with.
Absolutely.
Because when he was
Originally
before
was.
on the county board, it's true, when he was just a member of the library board, and he was
He
president of
riled
the...
everybody up.
Well, he was president of the library board, and he signed the paperwork, and he was using the wrong numbers.
Yeah.
All right, anything else on libraries?
No,
You
no.
still support books and reading, I hope?
Oh, sure,
Good.
sure.
Okay, next on our agenda is Wisconsin Towns Association, the Intergovernmental Advisory Committee, and right after that is the chairman's report on roads, so I thought I'd combine all those together and just give my report as succinctly as I can. On Wednesday, January 8th, the town hall, the Hudson Town, and I used our town hall as a welcome place. The county has applied for and they're about to receive a $500,000 grant to improve the safety on County Road A, basically from Highway 12 all the way to New Richmond. And if they get that grant, they might put in perhaps another $100,000 to $200,000 of their money. There's a tremendous amount of traffic on there. The improvements under that grant would be rumble strips, chevrons, bright white lines out on the pavement. There was no money for right-of-way acquisition or restructuring or guardrails. So that was well attended. I thought we did a great job collectively to say we're concerned about McCutcheon Road and the traffic and all of the traffic warrants that are out there. They listened politely, but again, it's a county issue and a town issue, and that was not part of that grant. The county did state that they're going to do additional road work at County Road I and E, north of Burkhart, because that's a high crash area. And they're also going to be doing additional work at A and E because of all the traffic that flows from here to New Richmond and back. On Wednesday, January 15th, we had our Intergovernmental Advisory Council. That's basically where all the municipalities get together with the school district on a quarterly basis and see what's going on. I won't go into all the different details there. Basically, each municipality talks about what they're doing and what their growth plans are. The takeaway for me on that was from the school district, because of new funding formulas. I don't know if it's all under the new governor, but St. Croix County is considered a wealthy county as opposed to Polk County. And what the school district used to have for $12 million in state aid is now looking at $3 million. So they could have up to a $9 million gap in funding. They're very concerned about that. They gave a presentation of...
So that's new? That's close to the budget they just put through?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
They gave, I guess I'm just going to concentrate on the school because I think as municipalities, we need to know the pressures impacting our community. The school shared with us all the different children that they need to accommodate, from special needs to broken homes. They have a lot of disciplinary issues with children as young as 9, and they've contracted with a school district in Minnesota, and we bus our children there because they have the staff and the expertise to deal with that on a daily basis. And the last takeaway, which I found hard to believe, but there's federal laws that talk about the definition of what equates to a homeless child. And I won't get into all of that. It was a learning experience for me. But we have an example where there was a child in Menominee, Wisconsin, and the school district had to send a cab to Menominee, Wisconsin to pick the child up because it was considered under that homeless category and had to be accommodated. And that was twice a day, over and back. So we're seeing a lot of pressures on our school. We shouldn't get scared by that. What was brought up, they're looking at all of the deferred maintenance on all the other buildings, from HVAC systems to parking lots. They're going to hire a consultant to do a preliminary study to see what the extent of that is and rank it. They said it could be as high as $55 million, and that's obviously if you started using construction inflation and everything else. But if you read about that, then you'll know what's going on. The municipal projects we talked about. On Thursday, January 23rd, we had the Wisconsin Towns Association meeting. That was at Deer Park. Just so the public is aware, the county has an ongoing free nitrate testing of our well water. So you should tell your neighbors and friends. Gail and I actually did that last summer, and you take your little water sample in, and then they'll give you precise readings back. The county was about $900,000 over budget last year for their snow plowing and maintenance, so we weren't the only ones struggling with what to do with the snow when it piles up. They felt that the asphalt this year might be reasonable for the new construction projects. They hope to not see double-digit increases, and that could be a result of the oil collapse around the world. But those were the main takeaways. The grant that we did not apply for, the one grant, they thought they'd have, I don't know what it was, a couple hundred applications. They had over 1,000, like 1,050. There's $28 million worth of projects, and it was in the hundreds of millions of dollars of requests. So I don't know how they're going to sort all that out on our ranking deal at the state level. Quickly moving on to roads, on February 12th, we'll have our first pre-construction meeting for Daly Road and Kinney. We're going to start ramping that up to do construction in the spring on that. And I'd like to put it on for next month's agenda. I think we should go and start looking at picking our road projects for 2021. We have a very detailed letter from the county as to, here's our ranking of these roads. If we're in concert with that, we agree to that, that can be a very easy approach. But Vicki, if you put that on for our next month's agenda, I'll pull those.
You guys are gonna have to look, because there's gonna be a lot of mill and overlays coming up this spring. So that might take over some of the projects, because the roads are garbage already, and it's only February.
Well, it's a good reason to have it on the agenda, and we've got all those numbers, so I'd like to get the dialogue going now. We've been doing a lot of... Pardon me?
Tim needs to make a list, because he drives up and down the road, so we need to know where the
Like I already
potholes.
called Don about Bear Drive, it's just literally.
Bear Drive is disintegrating.
Just
Okay,
disintegrating.
well, I'm just about done with my report. If I may, being it's my report, I'd just like to finish it before we get into all the side discussion. I'd like to put this on the agenda for next month, so we can talk about what roads, if any, that we want to pick for 2021. And that also includes milling and overlay and anything else. We've been doing additional blading work on our roads. When it's icy and compacted, we're doing that with salt and sand so we can not run in the ditch. And when the weather's warm enough, we've been using additional blading to try and get that stuff off from the blacktop. Tim had mentioned to me about Bear Drive, and I agree with him. We're doing spray patching. That's being scheduled to be working on Bear Drive. So with that, that's my report. You would have any questions on that?
No, but I would suggest that anybody that when you, on the board, if you see a bad road, call Don.
Tanny needs spray patch again too.
Okay.
Hundreds of potholes on Tanny already.
And this freezing and
Same
thawing
area.
will just create havoc on all the roads. And so what they, like I told Don, they were already out probably a week or two ago on County Road A out by Sherman, spray patching. So if they get a nice day and they haven't got anything to do, they'll go out and spray patching. It's a good thing to get those holes filled now, rather than letting them get worse before spring.
We want AMZ though, not cold patch.
No, yeah.
So let me know, Tanny, and then, as I mentioned to Tim,
They're all the way from
Yeah,
Sherman,
it's all
all
the
the
way
way to the city
Honest, it's
limits. We
amazing.
just went down it today.
I've gotten so I drive on the shoulder
Yep,
and
you
in the
have
middle of
to.
that lane, because otherwise it's just a rumble strip all the way down.
Yeah.
okay, I want to keep moving on tonight. Discussion action on a Class B beer liquor license, or beer license for Universal Hospitalities, Brockton Drive.
Do you want us to read that?
Is there public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Yes, there is public comment. Good thing you're here, I skipped right over it. So, let me do it formally. Number 6 is public comment. You have a right to speak on any item that you have that's not on the agenda. You can speak on it, be judicious, and we're not allowed to respond.
Wonder about picking up deer. There's one been laying since Saturday night up on Bear Drive, about 100 feet east of Willow Ridge, one.
Just call dispatch. fire number. Call them and tell them where it's at, because they need to know exactly, and they'll come get it.
Okay.
Yep. That's even easy. You don't even have to go through us to get.
Nope, you just call dispatch.
Yeah, if I could, I've been asked to make comment to the board, so thank you. I have just a few pieces of information I'd like to go through. Waiva counties, as you might be aware of, in Virginia, are declaring themselves Second Amendment sanctuary counties. More than 40 local governments have passed resolutions to protect the citizens' Second Amendment rights in Virginia, and potential laws they say are unconstitutional. Supporters of the sanctuary resolution say they believe that protected gun measures could the proposed gun measures could infringe on the Second Amendment rights. If you're not aware or been following the story at all nationally, this is a Second Amendment sanctuary map, and everything in green are the counties that have passed sanctuary ordinances.
In Virginia.
So that's Virginia. So as you can see, almost the entire state. Also, North Carolina in green. So in green, and then yellow are the ones that are discussing the amendment. So that's roughly about half the state, half the counties. Texas is on the rise. In green and orange, not the red, green and orange are the ones that have done it. And then there's over 30 that are now talking about it, 30 more counties in Texas. All in all, in the past months in Virginia, Florida, Tennessee, Arizona, Texas, over 19 states have enacted these laws either statewide. Utah and Idaho, every county within both states are all Second Amendment sanctuaries. And we're doing this because, I say we, they're doing it because the Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance allows for the community to fine or punish those officials that break the ordinance. And because the ordinance is in place because of the constitutionality of the rights that are being infringed on the people of these states and municipalities. Now, I know this is a big picture, so let me just draw it down. Wisconsin County declares itself Second Amendment sanctuary county, so that's Florence County was the first one in the state that did it. So there's an article, and rather than read excerpts, if you're not aware of that, that took place. And then...
Can I just ask, I couldn't hear, did you see it, that was a town or a county?
That was a county, Florence County.
Okay.
Okay. And then the other one that took place was Merrill. Merrill became a Second Amendment sanctuary city with the council vote that took place there and a 6-2 vote. And those are really the first two in Wisconsin. Now, when you look at the national map, they're really the first ones that would be in green on our map. And now there's all kinds of counties across the state now that are discussing this issue. So my question for the town, being a town, is that I would ask that you decide, discuss, and pony up to decide that you're going to make a resolution that says, yes, we agree. Statutes can take away rights, but rights can't be taken away according to the Constitution. The role of the sheriff is to protect and serve and protect our constitutional rights. It is his obligation to do so. By passing a resolution, you would only be telling Sheriff Knutson that, hey, please, we understand, just do what you can to protect our people. And so I'm asking you to think about it, discuss it. It's something that's really taken hold across the United States. And Wisconsin's just starting to come on board.
All right. Anyone else want to speak on public comment tonight? Okay, hearing no one else, I want to move to the next agenda item. Thank you, Mary. Discussion action on Class B beer license.
I would move approval of Universal Hospitalities LLC DBA Agave 2 Go-Go at 606A Brocky Drive for a Class B fermented malted beverage license for restaurant located at 606A Brocky Drive. Agent Dominic Rhodey.
I'll give that a big second.
You said second? Okay. All those, any discussion?
Yeah, I actually have a question. I'm in favor of it too, but I was just kind of curious, how many licenses do we have to give out? You know, how many do we have available? What's our situation?
Well, this is just a beer license, there's no limit on beer licenses.
Sounds good. Okay.
How many liquors?
Okay,
How
any
many
further
liquors?
discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Ken Tennant, 2-lot second CSM off of Chippewa Path.
I would assume he might be here because the planning commission turned me down.
I just want to make sure I
Yeah, I
announced it.
agree.
All right. Next, Steve Benedict, 2-lot CSM off Chippewa Path.
So since the last meeting, you'll see revised map showing where we have 3 lots now to 2 lots. So that should eliminate both the concerns of the town and the county about crossing a potential wetland.
The only concern I got, Doug, is this septic system's still on the other lot.
Yep.
As our motion previously in the previous board, if we were going to approve it, was if it ever fails, it has to be replaced. How do we get that somehow in writing other than just in a town motion? Is that something we can put on the CSM?
I can put a note on the
That's what
CSM.
Can you put a note on the
That's,
CSM?
it says that there's supposed to be a note on the CSM from our minutes, so if you look at the last minutes.
It just says something, it says per the, on the, I saw that, but I couldn't find any note for it.
No.
It says, it needs to be noted on the CSM that the septic from lot 2 must be relocated to lot 1 if it fails since it's an easement.
So it says sanitary sewer easement, see sewer note. I tried to find the sewer note.
Sewer note.
Now I looked all over and I couldn't find it.
Sewer note.
So is it something, someplace else other than what you gave us?
No, probably not.
Well, I looked for it and I couldn't find it.
You started it.
Except-
Probably put
You
it
started it.
I
We got
forgot to put the note
close.
somewhere. All right.
So it just needs to be.
Just add the note.
Okay, just add the note, please.
So you need to add that on your list.
Yep. Sorry about
Write it
that.
on those lines right there. You just put a star in front of it, so I'll make sure to add it. From the January 7th minutes. The septic from lot 2 must be relocated to lot 1 if it fails. Since it is an easement.
Are those online?
The minutes?
Yeah.
They will be tomorrow, because they just
Okay.
approved them
You have mine?
today.
Yes, use the same language.
Looks like I even made the motion, so. So Doug, just to
Yes.
recap, so you're not going through the wetland, you're not coming out from Yellowstone.
Yep.
We're not doing any of that. You're not.
Otherwise, everything else is the same as it was.
Okay, you're not looking to re-subdivide lot 2 at this time, right?
Not at this time, no.
And your access to that lot now would be off from
Chippewa Path. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns from the board members?
I would move approval of CSM for Steve and Dana Benedict at 921 Chippewa Path. You want me to read that whole legal description?
No, you don't need it, because you just said it was at 9:21, so
And I copied it off of the CSM.
that's fine.
It consists of 2 lots and 20.43 acres. I assume that's correct, as we read it off the back of the CSM book.
Yep.
Exclusive of roads, which there isn't any. Lot numbers in the parcels shown as lot 1 and lot 2. Number 1, Plat review fee at a rate of $350 per lot, or a total of $700 be paid to the town of Hudson. The next one is put the January 7th minutes that reflect that the sanitary sewer easement on Lot 1, but has an easement on Lot 2, will be replaced if it ever fails. Number would be 3. This subdivision is also subject to the approval process of St. Croix County Planning and Zoning and Parks Committee. Number 4, the CSM approval is contingent upon all fees being paid within 1 week of the final CSM approval, and all county approvals are received by the town of Hudson. So we don't have anything from planning and nothing from the
I don't
county
have
on
anything
this.
from them yet.
So
No.
once that's done, we can have Don sign it. We found that out recently. We need all of that.
Emailed with Sarah today, and she thought that they would take action on it yet this week. So
And number
hopefully
6
something.
is the fire. We only need one firehouse number of $60 for the grand total of $760.
Okay, that's your motion?
Yep, that's my
Is there
motion.
a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion? So, this probably doesn't need to come back to the board if Doug meets all these conditions then?
Right.
Right, I'll need a new certified survey map, though, showing that.
With the
I'll get you that
easement.
tomorrow.
And then I need all the letters from Tara and Sarah and Tammy,
Yep.
And then once you
and the fees.
Vicki and the county are all in agreement, then I can sign it.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
All right. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
All right.
All those opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Yep. Number 11, discussion action on placing cement slab in front of the town hall.
That goes back to a year ago. The guy that plows and does our sidewalks used to move the garbage cans from one side to the other, and then he'd set the blade down and he'd drag the blade out from between the buildings here, and he'd end up dragging gravel out into the parking lot from that area in there. And he stopped one time because Vicki would complain about him dragging the gravel out because it gets stuck to the snow. And he said, well, I got to get the blade down far enough, but yet I understand the concern. Long and short of it, he said, you know what I would recommend you do is just put a concrete slab in there. And I thought, well, you know, Vicki wants to continue to use that window for posting. It would be a good idea if we just replaced all that gravel and put a slab in there like Marty recommended. So I thought, okay, we'll bring it up, discuss it, see what the board thinks, and we'll get costs this spring from a couple of different guys. And I asked one of the guys on the planning committee, Tony DeBrosi, who used to do a lot of concrete work for Zappa and stuff. I said, do we have to leave anything against the building? And he said, no, you can pour the whole works. You would just taper it to the sidewalk so it drains. But I would recommend we do
And
that.
I think that tree should go, and the cement should go out that way
That
too.
probably isn't a bad idea. Because right
It's
now,
causing all
he
kinds
has
of-
to plow it way up
Thing,
because
Mark?
the roots are
Doing
just
that
keep coming
somewhere.
out. It's probably a good
But
idea.
that's not the place where you want the bike rack.
You
No.
can put the bike rack, if you get rid of the tree and put cement
You
out
could-
that way, you
you
could
could
put it
just
there
put
or
those.
whatever, but then the garbage cans could actually maybe go on that side.
Also.
But that tree is just a nightmare anyway.
Do we want to plant another tree, we can put it further out.
I think using that window, I think it's a good idea to use that window all the way.
Well, we've tried to replace the posting board, if you try and open those doors, it's just gonna completely
But
fall
I
apart.
think that with the trash cans, it's kind of multi-purpose, because then people can walk up and not walk through snow and grass.
And I must admit, when
I
I
think it's
shoveled
good.
the trash cans out the other day when I moved them back in, I noticed that because of the fact that it's in that southeast corner of the building, and the winds normally come from our northwest, it doesn't really build up underneath that eave very heavy. So if we could just keep the cleared out of there, it'd be easy to walk up to that window from the doors here for that posting. It would be really fairly easy. We could have Mike do that at the time he's plowing, if it's just all concrete.
And I called
There's
the-
not a downspout over there, right?
No, there isn't.
Yeah.
Well, the downspout is right next to the door, it's underground and goes
Yeah, it goes
all the
up.
way down and under, but I called a couple people too that they're
Yeah,
supposed
yeah.
to stop it, so, I mean, I
So-
told them I wasn't in any big hurry since it was,
Winter.
there was snow, well now there's not really any snow, they could probably see it, but
So if we're gonna do it, I guess what I'm assuming, but don't you think we should try and do the slabs so we can do the bike racks? and
Yes,
everything?
do it out there.
Rather than two different
Yes.
pours of
Yes,
concrete.
yes.
Let's get a bid on doing
Do it
the
all
wall.
one time, yes.
so where's the bike rack gonna go?
You gotta get 3 yards anyways.
Right.
So if you get
You
cement,
might as well
they're
do,
3 yard minimum, so
Right.
you're gonna use,
And I think we should have the boot camp remove the rock that's out there and put it
Oh, that's a
around
good
here, cause
idea.
there are spots where we need more rock.
We can do that.
I would make a motion to approve placing a cement slab in front of the town hall by the windows.
Do you wanna do the?
And remove the tree
And remove the
and
tree.
cement along there.
And remove the tree
For a
and
bike
combine
rack.
it with the bike rack project.
Well, we don't know if we want the bike rack there, if we're gonna keep the
But
garbage
the
cans
bike
there,
rack can
but,
go someplace.
Right.
It can go somewhere
Should be
else.
part of that pour.
okay.
so
Wherever
can
they
you
want.
just broaden your motion so it allows to go out and get proposals or bids for us to look at?
I would,
I already did that.
yeah, I would make a motion to approve placing a cement slab in front of the town hall and for a bike rack and allow it to take bids on cement work.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, we might as well see what the bids are. We're not approving it until we see what the numbers are, but I think it's a great idea. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried. Discussion and action on replacing street signs.
I thought I could go online and do that, and I can't. And I just haven't had time, I've been so busy. I went online and it's Badger Sign Industries, which is part of the prison industry, and the county uses them. And Joe Murtha said it's probably about a third of the cost of anywhere else, and it's because they're using industry staff to build the signs. And so the Lang Industries that we're using out of La Crosse, out of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, they talked to Joe at one of the state conventions, and they said, oh, if that's who you're using, I won't even offer to recommend give you the price. So the point of that is, I gotta get a hold of a salesperson and have them come up and give us prices. 3M guaranteed our street signs for 10 years, and we replaced them in 2010. And if you look at all the ones that are facing south, and the gal that's the secretary at Lang Enterprises said, I'm no scientist, but she said, there's all that diamond chip that's in that was required by the state that we replace it with. She said when it catches all that light and bounces back, she said, I think what it's doing is it's literally fading the color right out. Because anywhere where there are trees or it's facing north or east, we don't have that same amount of fading. But I think it's a different sign bracket, so I can't just take signs off and signs on. These will all have to come down and the bracket will be replaced and everything. But I would guess it'll probably be about a third of the cost of going back to what we're using now. And if we got to do it every 10 years, I'm sorry, I probably won't be on this board 10 years from now. But I don't think we should spend the money to do it with expensive signs if they got to be replaced every 10 years. I think we should go with the least expensive and make sure that they're reflective. Because they're starting to be hard to see in the daytime. I haven't driven around at night, but I'll bet you they're even tough to see at night because it's all blending in, I would assume. You can't read the
You have
date.
to remember it's gonna cost a whole lot more though, because
It will be
you
more
and
than-
Linda did all the work last time.
Yes.
So it will be
So
more
therefore, when you're paying the
expensive.
county
So
versus.
my guess is
No.
it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30 to 50,000 if we do a third to half the signs each year that we're doing it. Just so you know. But it's going to need to be done. So I will do an inventory of what needs to be done. I'll drive around to the entire town, make an inventory. I'll talk to the salesperson, but I thought I would talk to the salesperson first and then do the inventory. And then get a price, and I'll come back to the board and we'll talk about
If you need
what.
some help, I can help you.
Okay, okay,
Inventory.
okay, I will.
I-
But I just wanted to let you know, and as I drive around, the more I look, I thought it was a few, and the more I look, it's like, no, there's a whole lot, unfortunately, that need it.
Has anyone questioned 3M? Go back at 3M and say, hey, these are.
If you'll notice that the private road signs were replaced about 3 years ago, they were black and white. That happened after 7 years, and 3M replaced all of those for free.
Okay.
But these are within the 10-year window now, you know what I mean? So they guaranteed them for 10. Well, they're reaching their 10-year window. It's 2020 and we replaced them in 2010. You know, so yeah, no, I didn't go after them for that because I figure, hey, they're going to tell me what I already know. But they did replace them, the black and white ones, at 7 years. Lang said, just send me them all and I will deal with them and we'll send you replacements for everything. And you're right. I stood on top of the ladder and several people said Jeff Johnson couldn't do that.
Unless you made your wife do it.
No, you made Linda do it for weeks.
Poor Linda did
With
it.
the black and white ones, I
Oh.
went out and did all of those. With the other ones, I even used my foreign exchange student in 2010. She helped me put them together too.
Do you
But-
need a motion on that?
No, I just wanted you to know where we're at. I was hoping I'd have some data and I don't yet.
Okay.
Because I thought I could go online.
Well, I think they definitely need to be looked at.
I agree.
Some of those you can't even see, they're just like worn out. All right, any other discussion on that? Next is discussion action on the plan commission. John?
No,
No,
you-
mailbox.
Oh, mailbox, excuse me. Good thing you're here, I'm skipping lines tonight. Must be my fever. Mailbox.
In the discussion, Mark Benoit, who lives in the town, and he's got a lot of complaints from residents that live on cul-de-sacs, and he said, could the town board please discuss sending a letter out to all of the residents that live on cul-de-sacs and ask them, when a new development, and we should make a note of
There's a
always,
development next month, so you might want to
I
make
will
this
add a line on
line,
here that
you're
says,
gonna decide
on
that it
all
has to be-
cul-de-sacs, because the post office would prefer it, that you put and I went and talked to the postmaster, and he said, I don't care which side it's on, but they need to be one side altogether. And if you look in most other communities where the developments are, usually the developer puts them up for them and puts them all together in a gang. And the only thing that the mailman said was, and make sure they're in the order that they're in today. So if you're going from 1, 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter whether you're coming on the right side or the left side, they should be in the 1, 2, 3, 4 lineup as he comes around. So, because his mailboxes that he's pulling it out of in the post office are in that order in his truck. He said that's the only, and he said make sure that if we send a letter out, because remember what the county said, there's 100 cul-de-sacs in this town.
We're not sending a letter out
What are we gonna do then?
to force people to move their mailboxes?
Request that they do.
What are
But
you
if-
gonna do if you have one out of the four?
Yeah, one out of the four says yes.
And then what?
You'd want them to all get together if they're not there.
Well, obviously, yeah.
I don't have the postage to mail them out.
But the point of it is, it would be good for everybody living on the cul-de-sac to do that. And the reason I say that is if you look at cul-de-sacs, they struggle with the snowplow because, and I've talked to the county about it, and they do it they don't come into a cul-de-sac and plow to the middle. They plow toward the mailboxes and then don't come back for a day. And then they come back and clean them out, which means everybody's got to clean their mailbox out. If they were all on one side, somebody living on the cul-de-sac would go out and clean them all up. You know what I mean? You know.
But I have to clean mine out, and I'm on a straightaway before the cul-de-sac. I still have to
homeowners
clean.
have to clean up.
Yeah, the homeowner is responsible to clean up.
Right.
County doesn't.
They all are, but they get, it seems like they get buried more on a
They
cul-de-sac.
do, but that's because they live on a cul-de-sac.
Right,
So you gotta
but
expect.
the point is if you moved them, it would be better.
I think it's gonna be hard to send a letter out to,
Well, it's gonna take weeks just to
They're not
even
gonna-
find the
Oh, it
people
would.
to do it.
It would.
And I don't have the money because I got 5
We don't have the
elections.
money to pay for it.
And I had to send out double ballots for this election, I have to send out double ballots for April.
Elstone River we probably have 60 cul-de-sacs and mailboxes aren't like that.
Well, I think the new ones, you should make the motion to do it, because as you'll see
They're
next
just-
month coming
They're
in.
just not, it works. I don't know, you get it.
North Hudson requires it on
I
all new
understand.
developments,
And we should too.
not even on
developments.
not even on cul-de-sacs.
Oh, really?
No, the new 10th Street North, that's gonna connect to Adam.
They're gonna.
Gang
require-
mailboxes every so
Yeah.
often, so
Yep.
that you don't
Really?
have them all up and down the road.
Wow.
So maybe a compromise is, let's look at it for new developments.
Yep.
Then we'll have a
Okay. All right.
prototype in place as to what
Okay.
we want, how it works, what it costs.
And the developer's gonna have to put it in.
Right.
Right, I agree.
Because
I
I think if we send that
Put it
letter,
on
the first
note
thing
on
they're
your
gonna ask
sign.
is, how much does it cost?
Well, right, yeah,
Are you gonna
individually,
pay for it?
yeah.
Probably gonna have all kinds of people here
Yeah.
complaining about it.
Yeah, there's no way.
As someone who's plowed snow, I mean, I plowed snow in the cities, and I don't understand it, honestly. I don't have a problem with, the single mailboxes. I would have a hard time telling people they have to gang up their mailboxes.
Yeah.
So is that kind of consensus of the board then? Okay. Tim,
I'm
you're
okay with
comfortable
that,
with
because
that?
I agree, I don't know how we, just, if you got 100 cul-de-sacs and there's 4 or 5 people that live on that cul-de-sac, just the effort to get that list together,
Yeah.
plus all the mailing,
Yeah.
it'd be rather expensive, and I don't think we'd have a whole lot of success in
I
getting
don't-
them to
no,
do
I
it.
don't either.
You might give 1 or 2 cul-de-sacs out of the whole town that might
Yeah.
do it.
All right.
Could
Any
you
other
have the
discussion on that?
Could you have the post office, could they force them to do it?
Nope.
No, they can't, and I asked the postmaster that too, and he said no.
Okay.
Okay, you guys ready to move on?
Yep.
Discussion action on the plan commission. When I was elected, I reappointed everyone to their boards. John Waddell, or Waddell, however you pronounce his last name, said he was more than willing to serve. He thought he only wanted to serve another year or a term. He called me and said that he wants to serve out his term and leave. He's on the greener pastures. I thanked him for his service. And he's very flexible. If we appoint somebody tonight, he'd leave early. If not, he'd leave in April. The person I'd like to nominate to put in there is Clint Heschler. Clint's a lifelong resident of the town. He's been asking me about things that he could serve on. His family has development experience, and so does he. So I guess I'd like to make a motion to approve Clint Heschler to be appointed to John's term on the planning commission.
That ends May of 2022.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Communications and items for future agendas. Anything new that we need to talk about? You mentioned coming attractions. Vicki, you think that plat might be in next month for?
I know it will be next month.
Next month, okay. All right. Well, I said we trimmed down your record time tonight. I know Ken has a place to go.
We need to sign this.
I move we adjourn.
Okay, do I hear a second to that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried.